Committee meeting to order at 6:45 p.m. Chair would entertain a motion for the consideration of claims.
I would make a motion for consideration of claims to be paid in the amount of $441,146.13, manual checks in the amount of $50,379.18, payroll and liabilities for March 29th, 2019 in the amount of $377,792.13, for a total of $829,317.44.
I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any discussion on those claims?
I didn't really see anything that stuck out at me.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Vote aye. Motion passes. Any other business?
No, Your Honor.
No, Your Honor, I have none.
All right, then we'll adjourn at 6:46 p.m.
I now call the April 16, 2019 regular meeting of the Riverton City Council to order at 7 p.m. The Pledge of Allegiance will be given by Councilmember Schatze and the invocation by Councilmember Borders.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Dear Heavenly Father, we come to you this evening to humbly ask for your guidance in this meeting. Lord, thank you for our many blessings and all that you do for us. We pray that your efforts are blessed with insight. Our efforts are blessed with insight, guided by understanding and wisdom as we serve our community and its citizens. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, ladies. Appreciate that. It's nice to have you all here tonight. Would the city clerk please conduct roll call?
Yes, Your Honor. Councilwoman Carla Borders.
Here.
Councilman Tim Hancock.
Here.
Councilwoman Rebecca Schatze. Here. Councilman Kyle Larson.
Here.
Councilman Corey Rhoda.
Present.
Mayor Richard Garn.
Here. The chair would entertain a motion to excuse Councilman Bailey.
So moved.
Second.
Councilmember Schatze has made the motion, and Councilmember Hancock is the second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, say nay. Motion passes. I declare the presence of a quorum. The approval of the agenda, the chair would entertain a motion for the approval of the agenda with the addition of the resolution number 1389, WHAM support for state health insurance, to be added below item 9.
So moved.
Second.
Councilmember Larson with the motion and Councilmember Schatze with the second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes. Communication from the floor. Anyone in the audience wishing to address the council regarding an item that is already on the agenda will be given the opportunity to speak later on. I would ask those individuals who wish to address the council at this time to approach the podium and identify yourself for the record.
Eric's going to leave for just a minute while we talk about this little box that we have over here to present to you guys tonight. We are here representing the Leadership Fremont County class for this year, and we're showing you our project that we have created.
Sure. We are doing a little free pantry across Fremont County.
This one here is for the City Hall, which is going to be right out in the double doors area. We also have one in the Arapahoe Clinic, at the grocery store in Efity, and in Mr. D's.
So we just wanted to make the public aware, and we're going to be introducing this. We have another meeting this month, and we have it on Thursday of this week. And we'll talk about when we're going to do a grand opening here at City Hall for the pantry that we have here for you guys tonight to see.
And please like our Facebook page at Little Free Pantry, Fremont County Facebook page. Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Could you give me the locations again? The City Hall, Mr. D's, Heinz?
And the Arapahoe Health Clinic,
Okay,
and the grocery store in Efity.
so Heinz.
No, that's in Fort Washakie. So it's
Oh.
the little gas
Sky.
station that they have. It is, yeah.
In
Blue Sky, that's-
Efity? Okay, thank you.
Efity.
All right, appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thanks a bunch.
Looks nice.
It's gorgeous.
Very cool.
Mayor Guard.
Yes.
City Council. As president of the Fremont County Republican Women, we applaud you, Mayor Guard, and the Riverton City Council for making the proclamation on missing and murdered Indigenous women tonight. Because of the serious nature of this problem, and in conjunction with the National Federation of Republican Women, our local club is launching, with the support of your police chief and the Lander Police Chief and the Fremont County Sheriff, a program to address this issue here in Fremont County. And Helen Higbee, our past president, will be leading that effort. So thank you.
Thank you. It's nice to have Helen with us. Appreciate you being here. Is there anyone else that would like to address us? Seeing none, we'll move on. Would the city clerk please read the consent agenda items by title only, please?
Yes, Your Honor. Approval of the minutes, April 2nd, 2019, regular council meeting. Approval of the minutes, April 9th, 2019, council work session. Approval of the minutes, April 16th, 2019, finance committee meeting. Approval of the finance committee recommendations for April 16th, 2019. And approval of the municipal court report for the month of March 2019. And a replat for Riverton Chrysler Addition, replat number 1, petitioners Gunners Automotive Center.
Thank you. Is there any additional items that need to be discussed further?
Yes, Your Honor. The recommendations from the Finance Committee are for considerations to be consideration of claims to be paid in the amount of $441,146.13, manual checks in the amount of $50,379.18, payroll liabilities for March 29th, 2019 in the amount of $377,792.13 for a total of $829,317.44.
Thank you. The chair would entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Councilmember Rhoda with the motion, and second, Councilmember Schatze. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Consideration of resolution number 1389, WHAM support for state health insurance. City Administrator's report, please.
Yes, Your Honor. Thank you very much. This item has been added a little late this time around due to some timing we ran into with WHAM and their desire for their resolutions and on a particular date. Last year, the city approved a resolution asking for the state, for WHAM to support the inclusion of cities within state health insurance by modifying state code. We are proposing the exact same verbiage, the exact same resolution for WHAM to consider again this year. While the item did receive some traction this last year at the legislature, it did not did not pass, and I don't believe, if memory serves, it went to a full vote. This has garnered some traction among other communities. Now, they may submit their own resolutions to WHAM, but we didn't want to have one of those items that slipped through the cracks when we could put it forward to you now. So the resolution that you have in front of you is the exact same resolution you approved last year, asking for WHAM to consider that same action and support that. I would stand for any questions.
Councilman Hancock.
Tony, what, are there any other communities that have done resolutions like this? Like last year, did we have any other communities that really joined in this? Tell us a little bit about that. Also about, I guess, WHAM's efforts as well.
WHAM did make, Your Honor, if I may.
Please.
WHAM did get behind this, and they did support it through this last legislature. I think the other communities kind of came in a little late. We've had conversations with Casper about the potential for this. One of the reasons that it has gained some support is that it's an option. It doesn't say that the cities have to. It says that they may. School districts may. One of the reasons that it came up is that it was identified specifically by Kristen Watson, that we are considered a political subdivision of the state in all things but the benefit of this. Maybe not all things, but in most things you say political subdivision of the state, you're talking about a city in that. But we are excluded from this consideration. This has the potential to save the city a great deal of money in times where we have dwindling revenues at times, and we're always trying to stretch the dollar. These things are important. So when we look at these, it's important that we have that option. So we have had other communities informally monitor it over the last year, and it's a continuing item for discussion with the legislature for the coming year in my conversations with other administrators when we meet. So I would expect that this will probably have significantly more backing and discussion than it has in previous years. We consistently see that a bill will come up 2-3 times, and at some point that policy window opens and it's the right thing and it's written the right way and it does actually provide a benefit to all and it can move forward. So it's a long, very long answer to a very short question, so I apologize.
Thank you. Those guys out in the hall, do you need seats or are you just making a quick getaway? We'll pay.
Your Honor, there's seats.
We'd like your opinion if you want to come join us. We'd sure like you to be comfortable. If we need to, we'll open them back doors and put you in court.
Let's just open the divide.
Thanks, Kyle. Would the city clerk please read resolution number 1389 by title only?
Yes, Your Honor. A resolution presented to the Wyoming Association of Municipalities supporting a revision to the Wyoming state statutes, providing the option for municipalities to participate in the state of Wyoming insurance programs.
Thank you. The chair would entertain a motion to approve resolution number 1389.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilmember Borders and a second by Councilman Hancock. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Thank you, Kyle. I appreciate that. We want everybody feeling comfortable, so have we got y'all a chair? Is there more people out there? Looks like a baseball player we just got. Fantastic. Made the draft. Item number 9 is the mayor's proclamation on Missing and Murdered Indigenous Women's Day, and Councilman Schatza has been kind enough to say that she would read that for us. Turn the time over to her.
Mayor's Proclamation, City of Riverton, Missing and Murdered Indigenous Women and Girls Day, May 5th, 2019. Whereas nearly half of all Native American women in the United States have been raped, beaten, or stalked by an intimate partner. They are 2.5 times more likely to experience sexual assault. 1 in 3 will be raped in their lifetime, and on some reservations, women are murdered at a rate 10 times higher than the national average. And whereas there is not a comprehensive estimate of Indigenous women who are missing or murdered in the United States, and there are many factors which contribute to this epidemic, including fear, stigma, legal barriers, racism and sexism. And whereas there is no official data on missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls for the state of Wyoming, and whereas the city of Riverton joins other advocates in promoting greater awareness of this growing crisis of violence against Indigenous women and girls, and whereas the Missing and Murdered Indigenous Women and Girls Awareness Day seeks to increase awareness in Wyoming of the Indigenous women and girls who have gone missing or have been murdered, tortured, raped, trafficked, and assaulted, and the lack of justice or attention in many of their cases. And now, therefore, be it resolved that I, Richard P. Gard, Mayor of Riverton, do hereby proclaim Sunday, May 5th, 2019, as Murdered and Missing Indigenous Women and Girls Day, in witness whereof I have hereunto set my hand and caused the seal of the city of Riverton be affixed this 16th day of April, 2019, signed Richard P. Gard, Mayor.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Send that over to Kristen. We appreciate everybody's involvement in that, a real serious problem, and we hope to be of assistance with it. Ordinance number 19-003, third and final reading for public intoxication prohibited on public property. Would the city clerk please read the ordinance number 19-004 by title only, please?
Yes, Your Honor. Proposed ordinance number 19-004 on third and final reading. An ordinance amending Title V Business Licenses and Regulations to revise Chapter 5.04 Alcoholic Beverages, Section 5.04.060 Possession of Alcohol in Public Places, and repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict therewith and providing for an effective date.
Thank you. The chair would entertain a motion to adopt ordinance number 19-004 on third and final reading.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion from Councilman Rhoda and a second from Councilmember Schatza. Being a third reading, is there any discussion? Seeing none, would the city clerk please conduct a roll call vote?
Yes, Your Honor. Councilwoman Carla Borders.
Affirmative.
Councilman Tim Hancock.
Aye.
Councilwoman Rebecca Schatza.
Aye.
Councilman Kyle Larson.
Aye.
Councilman Corey Rhoda.
Aye.
Mayor Richard Gard.
Aye. Motion passes. Public hearing for consideration of a retail liquor license transfer of ownership from the Riverton Motel Development LLC. City clerk's report, please.
Thank you, Your Honor. Before you tonight is a transfer of ownership of retail liquor license application for the Riverton Hotel Development LLC, doing business as Hampton Inn and Suite. During one of the inspections by the State Liquor Division, it was noted that the sales tax license and the liquor license were being held in two different names. Pursuant to state statute, these two licenses must be held in the same name. So the transfer is staying at the same location as just a clerical transfer to a different business name. It is transferring from Liquor Holdings LLC, doing business as Hampton Inn and Suites, to Riverton Hotel Development LLC, doing business as Hampton Inn and Suites. And it'll be staying at the same location of 2500 North Federal Boulevard. This application has been certified as complete by the Wyoming Liquor Division. The proper fees have been paid, and proper notice to the public has been advertised. Therefore, staff recommends council approval of the transfer.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Chair would entertain a motion to open public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion from Councilman Borders and a second from Councilman Larson. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. I now declare the public hearing open. The hearing will be conducted in accordance with state statute and other applicable laws. I ask all those individuals wishing to address the council to approach the podium and identify themselves for the record. Seeing none, I would make the motion that we close public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion from Councilwoman Schatze and a second, Councilman Rhoda. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Motion passes. I now declare the public hearing closed. The chair would entertain a motion to approve liquor license transfer of ownership.
So moved.
Second.
Councilmember Borders with the motion and Councilmember Schatze with the second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Say nay. Motion passes. Consideration of the Riverton, Wyoming Splash Pad Group's mural. Public Works Director's report, please.
Thank you, Your Honor. Here with us tonight are members of the Splash Pad Group who have worked diligently over the last several years to include a splash pad amenity in City Park. They've put a lot of hours towards fundraising and designing, and the great news is this project is very close to being completed, and the fruits of their labor and their hard work is about to be realized. One of the things that is outstanding still for this project is a community art project and a sponsor recognition project. And I know there are members here who would speak much more eloquently and more intelligently than I on this matter, and maybe I'll turn the time over to members of the Splash Pad to present the idea that is included in your packet.
Super. We'll turn the time over to the Splash Pad Group.
All right. Well, thank you for having us. I don't have a real formal presentation, but I know that there are some pictures in your packet. We basically wanted to make sure we had proper sponsorship recognition, and it started with the idea of putting our sign on the west side of the old pool building.
Needs to introduce herself.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm Christina Olson, and I'm president of the Splash Pad Group.
Thank you.
Okay, so the west side of the pool building is where we were going to post our sign, but if you drive by that building, it's a bit of an eyesore. It's kind of a hodgepodge of different colors and tans, and that's been painted over. So the idea was to repaint it and make it look nice, and then it's kind of evolved into, let's do something that looks beautiful, that looks awesome, and reflects Riverton on that wall. So we've had a meeting with the Splash Pad Group, and we have reached out to individuals in the community who would be willing to volunteer their time to paint something for us on the wall. We had a meeting where we had 3 or 4 different ideas presented, and as a group, the majority decided on the idea that is in your packet. It's kind of a fun, something that we wanted to do for kids that went with a splash pad that had bright colors, and that was fun. And so I do have the artists here that have put together that mock-up for us. So they are here if you have questions about the mural or want to know anything more specific.
Yeah, we'd love to hear from you.
Okay. So I have Patrick Cosner and Tacey Moore And Rusty, I forgot her last name.
Works.
What? Sorry. Okay. So we feel like they are highly qualified. We've seen their work. They do great work. So they have this idea. So I will turn it over to them if you have any questions.
Thank you.
Hey, hi, I'm Tace Moore. I came up with the original idea, which you can probably see in your packets. At the bottom is this cityscape of Riverton, going down Main Street. I kind of was trying to put a whimsical, childish feel on it because, splash pads for kids. And then we put a juxtaposition of a child blowing bubbles over our town, which will be really with lots of colors. It'll be really colorful. And then the bubbles kind of mold into balloons, like hot air balloons, with our sponsor names on them. The balloon also matches the splash pad design, right? So, yeah, bright colors, childlike, lots of fun.
Raz Stewarts, hi guys. So I've had the opportunity to talk with both Patrick and Tacey about this project, and part of this whole idea was to involve other members of the community. So Patrick here is the high school art teacher, while Tacey is the middle school art teacher. So we want to really involve the youth of the community. So we're going to be having middle school groups. We're going to be having high school groups. It's not going to be just 3 artists up there painting. It's going to be a community project. So that's something I think that's important to highlight, is saying that it's for the kids, also by the kids.
Not really. Just one thing I wanted to mention about Tacey's design that she forgot was the reason of the achromatic picture of the child on the cover is that it doesn't specify what race it is. We also want to be kind of gender neutral on that figure as well, to be inviting to the whole area.
Super. It's amazing. It's a gorgeous thing that you came up with.
Sorry, we
We're all looking at it.
Yeah. I apologize we didn't have a formal presentation, but that's the gist of it. Are there any questions?
Your Honor,
Yes.
do we have a timeline of when they'll get to work on this?
Well, I think we're going to take care of that right now, so how quick can you get going?
this weekend. We'll get going as soon as possible. I have a number of middle school, some 7th grade students who are doing community service projects, who have volunteered to help us out. So we're hoping to have it finished by the opening barbecue, right? Which is May 24th.
Super. Looks great, guys. Thanks for your time.
Just keep in mind on the sign too, the sponsors will actually be a separate sign. The letters and names aren't actually going to be painted, so it'll kind of go together. Yes, sorry, one more.
When we designed it and put the sponsors in there, I wasn't aware that the doors fall where they do. So we might have to adjust the design just a touch so that the doors aren't interfering with that sign. I don't know if you guys can see the outline of that door. But we can make it work.
Okay. Fabulous.
You wouldn't want Benchmark Dental to get.
Actually, for everybody's information in the audience, these guys have done a wonderful job. They've met all the way through this project and made it work. We went to their meeting 2 Fridays ago. Kyle and Tony and myself, and Councilman Schatza was there, and they had 3, maybe 4 different ideas. And amazingly, you married them all together. It's a home run. Good job. Any other discussion, comments? Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Thanks, guys.
Your Honor.
Good job.
Yes. Mr. Butterfield.
Perhaps to have this discussion reflected in the minutes, would it be appropriate to do a motion accepting what's been presented in your packet?
I got that right here. We're on 12.
Great.
We're going to do that.
With a few changes like he was talking about.
I think they I think we should just give them any license to fix up what they need to, don't you? I don't think unless the rest of you feel like you're artists, you want to jump in. Whatever you need to do to move around those doors would be appreciated. And the place of the sponsorship is great. The child is, I don't see anything but really good things out of what you got here. So I guess we should have asked, there's funds sufficient to get you where you're going? Are there funds sufficient to get you everything you need to make this mural?
Yes.
Okay, super. Councilman Johnson.
I move to approve the mural as shown and give the Splash Pad Committee a leeway to make any minor changes that they would need to in order to accomplish this mural.
I'll second.
We have a motion from Councilwoman Schatze and a second by Councilwoman Borders. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Motion passes. Consideration of the Alive at 5 summer event at City Park. Ryan, are you with us? Could you help us with that? Ryan Peterson.
Ryan Preston, General Manager of the Hampton Inn and Suites. Also sit on the Wind River Visitors Council Board of Directors and Chamber Board of Directors.
Nice to meet you.
You too. Basically, what we're here today is 2 years ago we held the Live at 5 events. The biggest contention that we met was we wanted to go after a open beverage permit. That we coordinated it off. We did it very responsibly. We ID'd everybody and we made sure that the event went off without a hitch. And it was a very friendly, family-friendly event to where adults, teenagers, and children could come and play, have fun, and enjoy their time at the park. And if somebody wanted to have a beer, they could. I think we did it very responsibly. We did it the right way. Rowena and the caterers, they held the event. We had several different food trucks. I think we did it 3 or 4 times back in 2017. And you'd have to ask the chief on this, but I don't think we had any incidents of any kind.
Your Honor, we did not have any incidences.
Thank you.
Some of the documents that I have in front of you, one of them is from White and Hutchinson's. Basically, it itemizes what millennials, Gen Xers, and boomers want in today's society. What they look for, the money they spend, and what they want to see out of community events. Why they go to these events. One of the biggest aspects of it is, if you'll notice, 47% of these individuals from millennials go to beer festivals because of the availability of an alcoholic beverage. 43% of Gen Xers, when they go to these events, again, it's because of the ability to purchase alcohol. Boomers, 32%. We're not looking to serve hard alcohol. We're not looking to do anything in terms of making sure that we do things irresponsibly. We want to do this in a very responsible manner, coordinate off a very specific area, that if somebody wanted to come get a beer, they were able to do so. So with that, I'll take whatever questions you guys have.
Any questions?
Your Honor? When were you planning on doing this event?
The only event right now that is planned would actually be May 24th. It would be the kickoff for the Splash Pad.
And would you have a specific, like every month, once a month, or?
Right now, the hopes is we would do it multiple times throughout the summer, possibly once every month, but those plans are still being worked out.
Your Honor,
Yes.
the people that are going to be serving, are they TIPS trained?
Yes.
Okay.
When we did it back in 2017, 3 of my staff members did it, which are all TIP certified. Rowena's staff members did it as well, which are also TIP certified. And I think we had about 4 different food vendors that were also there. Some of them came all the way down from Jackson just to service this event.
Fabulous. We traditionally try to keep all alcohol in Sunset Park, but we've approved this before, so I don't see a problem with that. Does city administration have any problems with it?
No, Your Honor, we do not.
So, Councilman Larson?
Last time, the only problem that there was we had a warm springtime, and we had mosquitoes there. And so, depending upon the temperature, we probably need to see whether we need mosquito abatement. That was the only problem, and I remember Rowena scolding us for it.
Yes, yes, that was a case.
It was well, there was no problems with it.
So I hope you're not going to pass a motion on mosquitoes? That we
No.
got to herd those up or anything? Okay.
There was one problem.
We could do a ban on mosquitoes in City Park.
Well, that's an idea.
Just take 3 readings is all it would take. Ryan, the other comment that I heard that was the beer garden was kind of in a hot spot.
It was. We had it back on the concreted area behind the fence, which the main purpose behind that was, A, it was already a secluded area. We could control entrance and exit. And we didn't want people who had alcoholic beverages to walk out into the park where the band was playing and where other people were sitting. This time, what we would probably do is we would go behind the gazebo or next to the gazebo, coordinate that area off, or find an area that was suitable that we could coordinate it off by whatever means needed, whether it be cattle guards or just a barrier of some sort where people could come, buy an alcoholic beverage. We'd have seats there, but they would not be allowed to leave that area.
I told them all that you were trying to sell more beer. You kept them on a hot spot, but if we could accommodate that, that would be useful.
Okay.
I see former Councilman Jim Davis with you. We appreciate Jim's input. Jim, you have anything to add?
The only thing I would add to it is we did limit the beer purchases to 2 beers per person.
Oh, good.
And we issued a ticket to them, and they couldn't buy another set of tickets. And I've been down there and looked at it. Some of that fence that was originally there is gone now, and I think we can coordinate it off with some safety fence or something like that, make it a prescribed area that they can only consume the beer in and purchase the beer in, and we'll limit it to 2 beers per customer.
Thanks, Jim. Appreciate it. Glad to have you with us. Are there any other questions?
We
Councilman
still
Ham.
have to go through the regular permitting process for this.
Yeah,
This
we'll
is
do
just-
that.
This is just floating the idea past saying
Exactly,
wanting to do it.
exactly. We wanted to get permission to do it before we started buying permits, and we can get all our ducks in a row before the next council meetings.
So if you can get your ducks in a row, why don't you do something with mosquitoes?
Yeah, there you go. Well, if they get big enough, we might, no.
All right. We appreciate that information. Anybody else have any questions? Thanks, gentlemen. We're on item 14, DHR contract for amendment for the Gannett Drive and Davis Lane. Public Works Director's report, please.
Thank you, Your Honor. The Gannett Drive and Davis Lane situation was discussed extensively at the last council meeting, therefore I will not go into the history of the item as much. The dates and the problems related to those 2 areas are in your council packet, and I'd be happy to answer any questions related to this project. The item before you this evening is a contract amendment with HDR Engineers to finalize engineering plans for both Gannett Drive and Davis Lane. The finalization of these plans will produce plan and profile sheets for basically a new road. We're going to dig out all the problem areas. We're going to put down a stabilizing fabric, pit run, road base, and a new asphalt course as well. We'll also be installing water and sewer infrastructure improvements. There will be under drains along with stormwater improvements that will help dry up the area and really address the real problem in those 2 streets, and that is the subsurface water table. Maybe as an aside, we are moving forward with that temporary patch that we received approval on at the last council meeting, and I did want to mention that at 1.5 feet down, we found groundwater bubbling up to the surface. So there are significant issues with water that has caused the surface improvements to fail and have issues for many years. HDR has already prepared and finalized the preliminary engineering phase of this project. This amendment to the contract will finalize their design process. The Force Committee recommended that the City Council approve this contract amendment and have engineering move forward to finalization. As far as the budget impact, the proposed cost to finalize the plans from HDR for this amendment is $199,440, and the funds will be paid for out of the 1% fund. After the projects that were approved at the last City Council meeting, there is currently $1,416,730 available for this project. And I will stand for any questions at this time.
Councilman Larson.
Where's the, Kyle, where are you going to put the subwater that is boiling up at 18 inches below grade?
Your Honor, that's why we're hiring some smart people to address that problem.
Do we know how much that is? And are the easements going to be easy to put that somewhere?
Your Honor, the preliminary design and investigation proposes that we run under drain systems on both sides of the street, have wicking fabric so that there's an ability to collect that groundwater and keep it out of the roadway. That water will then be drained into an existing storm sewer or groundwater drain system that then moves to the south. The preliminary work shows that we should be able to capture this groundwater and dry up the roadway so that we don't have this issue again in 15 years. But we'll follow the analysis and make sure that the final proposal is one that will solve the problem. As part of the preliminary engineering, there were 5 monitoring wells drilled and monitored from the months of June to November to see how the water worked through that area, and that has provided us very good data, and HDR very good data to propose a solution.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? The chair would entertain a motion to accept Amendment 1 to the design contract between City of Riverton and HDR Engineering.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion by Councilwoman Borders and a second by Councilman Hancock. Any discussion? I would like to point out that this engineering, or I believe this engineering, is for both Gannett and Davis Lane, correct?
Your Honor, that is correct.
Thank you. Seeing no other discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Motion passes. Item 15 is an award for the sanitation truck. Public Works Director's report, please.
Thank you, Your Honor, and I will defer to Brian Eggleston, who did all the work on this and deserves to be recognized. He's our Fleet and Sanitation Supervisor.
Thanks, Brian.
Good evening, Your Honor, and members of the council. We budgeted for a garbage truck this year. The council approved a budget of $300,000 for the acquisition of a new garbage truck. We went to bid after writing specs for a garbage truck in March. Went to bid in March and then had a bid opening on April 4th. I think you have the staff report in your council packets. This is one of those instances where we didn't have the luxury of piggybacking off the state of Wyoming, so we had to write our own specs. We had 2 bidders. First bid was from Peterbilt of Wyoming in the amount of $296,916. And the second bid was Jack's Truck and Equipment out of Casper for $324,196. Both bidders met the specs completely. Our recommendation would be to go with the low bidder of Peterbilt of Wyoming.
Super.
We'll have to, also in your packet, I'm sure you noted that this expenditure won't occur until probably November, December of 19, which will be the 2020 budget year. So we'll have to shift monies again.
Perfect. Appreciate that. The chair would entertain a motion to award the purchase of a sanitation truck to Peterbilt of Wyoming in the amount of $296,916.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilman Hancock and a second by Councilwoman Borders. Any discussion?
Your Honor.
Please.
I guess for Ms. Harris, we can work this out, set it aside in the next budget. Is that kind of what we're thinking we would do here?
Your Honor?
Yes.
Absolutely. We budgeted $300,000 out of cash this year for this truck, so we can account for that in next year's budget.
Yeah.
What happened to the other $3,000?
The other $3,000? $300,000.
No.
Talking about the fact that it's underbid.
We left some on the table. We can have a
I'm
party.
sure Mr. Eggleston will find a place for it.
I bet we will. I thought maybe they're going to throw a party for the council, but I guess that's not it. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Motion passes. The Neiberger First Addition -3rd Amendment to the, for the easements with covenants and restrictions. The council, or Community Development Director's report, please.
Thank you, Your Honor. City Hall is situated within the Neiberger First Addition to the City of Riverton, along with 9 other parcels. There are easements with covenants and restrictions, ECRs, attached to all of the parcels within the subdivision, which dictate the uses allowed within it. In order to modify the ECRs, 75% of the landowners within it are required signatories. Murdoch's Ranch and Home Supply is under contract to purchase the property at 708 North Federal Boulevard and is proposing modification to the ECRs to allow merchandise to be placed within a fenced area in the parking lot. The original modification to the ECRs called for a contiguous fenced space not to exceed 25,000 square feet. However, we received a revised version of the amendment today, which was emailed to you earlier. The amendment now proposes using 2 fenced areas to store merchandise, one area in the southeast corner of the parking lot, approximately 18,000 square feet in size, and another directly south of the existing building, approximately 7,000 square feet at that location. Display of merchandise in the parking lot is considered an acceptable use for the current zoning, and as such would not require a conditional use or variance. However, the ECRs do not explicitly state outdoor merchandise as an approved use, hence the requested amendment. At this time, staff is recommending approval of the City Council for the mayor to sign the 3rd Amendment to modify easements with covenants and restrictions affecting land. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
The chair would entertain a motion to approve the 3rd Amendment of the easements and covenants and restrictions of the Neiberger First Addition.
So moved.
Second.
Councilwoman Schatz with the motion and second with Councilman Rhoda. Any discussion? I did take a look at those, Eric, and you explained to me on the phone that the 7,000 square foot that lies directly south of the Safeway has a exit door that is needed for egress, and you made arrangements for that to be exposed. Was that correct?
Your Honor, that's correct. The broker as well as the company purchasing the property have been made aware of that, and they've made appropriate accommodations.
Super. Any other questions? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Motion passes. The consideration of Resolution 1387, the Statement of Investment Policy. Financial Director's report, please.
Thank you, Your Honor. Before you is Resolution Number 1387, a resolution adopting a policy governing the investment of public funds by the City of Riverton. To provide a little background information to you, Wyoming Statute Section 9-4-831 requires that each city shall adopt a statement of investment policy by resolution of the governing body. The City of Riverton Statement of Investment Policy was approved by minute action on June 8th, 1996, and then revised again on June 15th, 2010. The primary objectives in priority order of the City of Riverton investment activities shall first be safety, then liquidity, return on investment, and community investment. Staff proposes changes to the policy that make references to the Director of Administrative Services, as this is not a position that is currently active within the city organizational chart. Further, we recommend that we change Section 8.0 of the policy. It currently requires qualified bidders for investment transactions to provide proof of the NASD certification. Currently, the regulatory organization with oversight of the securities industry is the Financial Industry Regulatory Agency, also known as FINRA. The final proposal is that we change Section 13.2 and 13.3 of the policy to provide a clear explanation of how operational and enterprise fund reserves are calculated. We are leaving the current approved reserve rate at 18.5%, so there's no changes to that. And the current formula in the policy is based on an accounting system that we no longer use. Therefore, we are recommending the change to that. And I would stand for any questions that anybody may have.
Would the city clerk please read the resolution number 1387 by title only, please?
Yes, Your Honor. A resolution adopting a policy governing investment of public funds by the City of Riverton, the political subdivision, and establish appropriate guidelines and responsibilities in the management of such funds.
Thank you. The chair would entertain a motion to approve resolution number 1387.
Motion to approve 1387.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilmember Larson and a second by Councilmember Borders. Any discussion?
Your Honor.
Yes.
Mia, this won't change where we put the money or what items we're putting it into. It just changes a housekeeping, doesn't it?
Your Honor. Absolutely. That is exactly what it is we're just cleaning up the verbiage in the policy, but we are not changing the amounts or any of the investments at this time.
What I'm trying to say, which I probably didn't say, we're not investing in long-term land deals. We're not buying stocks or bonds. We're handling it as we have handled receipts in local establishments so that we can pull it when we need it.
Your Honor.
Yes.
A lot of our reserves are held in a local bank. We also have some of our city's reserves in the WyoStar funds, which is actually sponsored through the Wyoming State Treasurer's Office. We do keep our senior endowment funds in the Wyoming Government Investment Pool, which is also sponsored by the state and approved by the state. So yes, we're keeping our money local and we're keeping it liquid.
But the city funds that we're talking about right now are available when we need them.
Correct.
So we really don't need a registered security dealer to be moving money back and forth.
Your Honor?
Yes.
We do not currently at this time. The policy does allow for the finance director to make the decisions as far as where we invest the funds, provided that we are compliant with the written policy. However, it is our practice and will continue to be that we bring this information before the City Council prior to making those investment choices.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any further questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Motion passes. Dispersion of public property discussion. City Administrator's report, please.
Thank you, Your Honor. I apologize. First, it does say disposition and is supposed to be disposal of public property. So we do have typos from time to time. We are in receipt of two requests this evening for the disposal of property, specifically the gold 2007 Chevy van that is out in our parking lot. We have received 2 letters of request. One is from Legion Baseball, and I believe they have representatives here, requesting that the city donate that van to Legion Baseball. The other one is from, make sure I get the right name right, For a Road Forward LLC, which is a request to purchase the van, or more specifically, that the city put the van up for sale. We did receive verbal request from the Legion First in the time between that verbal request and the formal, the written request. We received the other one. As such, we put those both to you tonight for your consideration. We've also tried to do a little bit of background, and we're having a little bit of trouble. The 2007 van, well, we know we own it. We know we got it in 2007. It is, and that it is our understanding that we did get it from or we have heard that we got it from a grant. And that's generally accepted. We've heard that a number of times. So we do know that we got it as a grant, or got the money for it through a grant during the time that the city managed recreation. Since that time, it is a city asset, and as such, we maintain control of it. We are not in possession of any additional documentation, and we've been looking. So not quite sure if there was any additional documentation with regard to the disposition of that property in perpetuity, or if it were ever sold. We always go looking for that, but at this point, we do not have it. As such, the item is a piece of city equipment, and as such, it is at council's discretion what we do with it. I have also never been asked to donate a vehicle. Therefore, I was a little, not that it doesn't ever happen, but we had to look into it a little bit. Council does know that we can dispose of property through the bidding process. We've done it with land. We periodically do it with equipment. So we do understand that process. However, we ran into a little bit of a problem with the idea of just donating a van for something other than aid to the poor, which is drawn out in the Wyoming Constitution. However, we did find out through our attorney that you can do a long-term, essentially a lease, with such an organization where they would take control of the vehicle and would get all the insurances and maintain it, et cetera, through an agreement. And then ultimately, when they're done with it, it comes back to the city, and we would have to dispose of it at that point. But you wouldn't actually be selling the vehicle. So council does have the options to do what is requested tonight. At this point, because there are 2 requests, we would ask for your direction on how you would like us to proceed, or ask any questions. I'm sure there are representatives here from Legion to talk about their request a little bit. They've been patient with us as we worked through this, and we're appreciative of their time. We would stand for any questions. I know there are a number of them probably. If anybody happens to know where we can find any additional documentation, always looking for that. So with that, Your Honor, I have nothing else.
Do we need a motion for a public hearing, or can we just take public comment?
Your Honor, I believe at this point you could just take some public comment.
Anyone that would like to address us on this subject, if you'd please come to the podium, state your name, and speak into the microphone. We'd appreciate hearing from you.
My name is Rich Lang. I am a board member with the Legion Baseball. The president of the league couldn't be here tonight. I have Troy Brown, which is the manager of Legion Baseball, parent Christy Dell that is here. Obviously, we have some players back in here with their R hats. I came about knowing about the van when the city ran the R Recreation and knew about the van. That's when we notified Tony about having that van donated to the league. A little bit about the league: we have 2 teams. We have an A team, and we have a B team / C team. So unfortunately, there are times when the A team goes somewhere, the B, C team goes somewhere else. We only have 1 vehicle. So it's kind of causing us problems. Last year, the coaches on the A team, they took all of the A-team kids. So we had to reimburse 3 coaches for their fuel and use of their vehicle to transport the kids to the baseball games. The league has about $55,000, $60,000 that they need to raise to be able to play baseball for these kids. Unlike Little League, most of our games are out of town. We have to travel, and it gets very expensive, especially when you're starting to pay other people to travel to haul those kids. So we're just asking to use that van, donate it to the league. I like the idea of what Tony said. Give it to us for 10 years, 15 years, whatever, and we give it back to you guys. However you guys want to work it, we don't care. We are in dire need of transportation this year with not having that vehicle. Troy, you got anything?
Just with, we've downsized our coaching staff this year. There's 3 of us coaching now. Steve Rennick is the B, C coach. Myself, I'm running both programs as the head coach, and then Mike Fisher is a volunteer assistant. So like last year, we had other coaches that, when we would travel, we had 3 vehicles to go, like when the B team was going away and we were going away. We had Mike's truck, my truck, and Nick Sesson's truck. Now we're down coaching staff, mainly because of our finances and that type of thing. We've taken on more players with the Dave Ruth, no longer existing here. And so we're trying to provide as much baseball as possible for everybody. Right now, game-wise, the BC team has about 38 games that they're playing, and the A team has 50. So all total, almost 90 games, and that's not counting you advance far into the playoffs, which, of course, we expect to do. So, do you have any questions for me?
I don't see any. Would you like
I
to?
was just making sure, just so that you know, it's a lot different than our travel ball teams where parents, it's on the weekends and parents take them. A lot of our games at the Legion level range from anywhere 11 o'clock in the morning to 7 o'clock at night. So, most of us work and can't take that time off during the week. So we do depend on coaches and parents that can take kids, and that's very few of our parents that are able to do that. So we would really appreciate any help that we could get.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Very much.
Thank you.
City Administrator, do you have any questions?
No, I don't have any questions, Your Honor.
Okay. I don't have any direction on my cheat sheet, but I think we need to have a longer discussion. Kyle?
Do we have any language what's our past practice in leasing or, Roosevelt had one for land leasing ships in World War II, but we haven't been around that long. Do we have any practices where we could state that would be their financial responsibilities, limiting our liability, et cetera?
Your Honor, if I may. Councilman, I don't believe we really have any. I understand I've only, going on about 2 years here, so I don't have the history that everybody else does. Generally speaking, leases aren't really common for a city to lease out property. Is it possible? Yes. I wouldn't have known that and if I hadn't had the conversation with our attorney, because we were running up against a wall to even give you options, which is what we like to try to do. Generally speaking, our practices have been pretty consistently when a piece of property is not being used, we liquidate that property for what we can get out of it in order to reallocate those funds towards anything that the general fund or that particular fund that contains it needs. That can be, in this case, it's a general fund, so we would allocate that probably to things like other new vehicles, police cars, or the like. So we do not really have a leasing practice. Can we figure it out? Absolutely. If another community has already done it, we'll probably look at what they've done as a practice and make sure that that meets muster, and we would move forward that direction if in fact that's council's goal.
And if we did lease that or gift it, however you'd go about it, that would take all liability away from the city while it was under their ownership of the Legion. Would that be correct?
With the information I have right now, that is my understanding, is that we would be able to remove that liability. We would require insurance, city, likely we would require the city to be named as an additional insured, or we would make sure, that would be the only way we could really probably stomach that kind of conversation, simply because you don't want to take additional liability.
Your Honor.
Councilman Hancock.
You had said normally we would liquidate if we had an asset that we weren't going to be using anymore. What would be the means we would use to do that?
Your Honor.
Yes.
Generally speaking, when we have a surplus property list, that can go up to an auction site, or you can take sealed bids on items. So similar to when we dispose of land, we've had those conversations in the recent past. It's largely similar to that.
Tony, when we have a lease, somebody's paying that lease, is that correct? And somebody's paying for the insurance, paying for the gas, paying for the wear and tear. Is Legion able to stand for those type of costs?
Yes, sir.
I had to take some point of interest in this because I can only think of a few things I like better than baseball. And when I came on with the city, I mentioned that if we didn't have anything useful for that van, I rode in that van in 2010 or so, and then no one on the current council has ridden in it. And so it is a 16-passenger van. We compared the idea to giving it to the Legion. Rick Soller's opinion, I read that opinion, and his opinion was not to lease, in his opinion, to any entities, but to sell. Is that correct? Am I stating that correctly?
Generally speaking, yes, Your Honor. Our general recommendation is to liquidate property per the normal means.
So with that statement said, my thought when I talked to Tony was that we were looking for revenue sources, and my thought was to liquidate the van. Through that conversation is where we got the other bidder that would be interested in the van. Our city attorney gives us counsel that we should dispose of the van, and we can do that in a simple process of just asking for sealed bids from interested individuals. It has to be a public proposal and a public opening to allow us to get rid of that facility. Then it would be owned by whoever made the highest bid. That is what Rick Sollers recommends that we do. If we do that, Legion, would you have the ability to put in a bid? Do you have funds sufficient to put in a bid for the?
Right now, Your Honor, I don't know the finances. I think there was an email that came out today stating we had $12,000. Again, each child has to come up with roughly $1,000 to play, $150 for their uniform, and then they have to raise basically another $1,000 to be able to play baseball. Right now, the board does not make them raise $2,000; they make them raise $1,150. So on top of that, we have bingo. We're going to do a email thing where we send out to relatives that are outside of the community. The community has been great, but we go to the community for basketball, for baseball, for football. We do bingo for every one of those. I can't go to my family every time and ask for $35 to buy a bingo ticket, $35 for a bingo ticket. Whether or not they could put a bid in, I would think that they could. Whether it would be high enough, I couldn't tell you.
Okay. Sorry to address you in the audience, but I think that is direction that the city attorney believes that we should go. I think that's the cleanest. We haven't made a light thought of this. I even approached the RREC system right now, and I thought my logic was if we were to donate that to RREC, then year-round usage of that bus could happen. The hockey kids could take it if they needed it. A swimming group could take it. They did take it up the ladder to the CWC directors, and they weren't interested in taking the responsibility nor the insurance liability for that.
I talked to Mary Axel about that. They're underneath the college, so if they do need transportation, they are able to use any one of those vehicles that the college provides. We have went to the college. We've asked for the same type of thing to see if we could use one of theirs. The Legion baseball field is on the college property, but unfortunately it was a flat out no. We were not allowed to use any of their vehicles for transportation. So again, I go back to the fact that van was a grant from Encana back in 2008. $35,000 is what that van cost at the time. So rather than selling it, I would rather it go to somebody in the community to be able to use than to sell for money that was never came out of the city funds.
We don't have on our agenda a motion, but I would ask for a motion from one of the council members. Since I can't make a motion, my recommendation would be to put that up for sealed bid and liquidate it out of the city properties to the highest bidder. I would have to, and since I don't have that, I'll stand and wait to see if a motion's suggested.
I'd move for that, Your Honor.
Second.
We have a motion from Councilman Hancock, the motion to be liquidation of the property through sealed bid. The second is from Councilwoman Schatze. Any further discussion off the council?
Your Honor, I would just like to add my personal opinion. I think the Legion program does a great job. They involve a lot of our kids in our city. If Riverton Recreation is unable to do that, I would like to see Legion get the van.
Okay.
That's my own personal opinion.
I think that's exactly where we all stand. It's just that our legal advice is that we cannot do that because we can only do that, give that possibility to the poor. And you guys are pretty poor, but you don't qualify for. And it would be my hope that you have the lowest bid for that, and we'll put that up, and you'll have to make that work into your situation, but hopefully that would go to you guys. And so that would put it into your possession fully and forever, and you could make the decisions on where it went. It wouldn't be loaned to anybody else, and I still think that that's the cleanest way we can get it to you. So that's enough of my opinion. Anybody else?
And Your Honor, I guess the other thing that we can say, one thing that we can do to help is to encourage people to be involved in stuff like this. And if the Legion gets the word out, we're trying to raise money to get this van, I definitely would encourage people to participate in that. I mean, I hope you understand the situation we're in just in terms of restrictions that we have on disposal of property and everything. But we can definitely encourage people and say, hey, this is something that is something they're looking for. There's a lot of people out there in Riverton that are very willing to donate money, donate time, and we can definitely say, hey, this is something to be thinking about. So,
Your Honor.
Yes.
Mr. Tolstead, I'm sorry, couldn't think of what I was trying to say. What is the value of that van? Have you done any sort of a blue book or anything to see what it's worth?
Your Honor, no, ma'am, I have not.
Your Honor.
Yes.
I just Googled it. So a clean or an average trade-in is $6,000. Clean retail is $9,600, and then rough trade-in is $4,850. So, FYI.
And I guess I've put my 2 cents in. Anybody else have any comments?
Your Honor, I just want to piggyback off of what Councilman Hancock had said. It's just business. At the end of the day, we got to do what's best for the community.
And so I would like to also suggest to the community that we do take care of Legion Baseball. They're doing a wonderful job with the youth of Riverton, and that would be my choice. And I think our hands are kind of limited to where we're at. So here we go. So we do have a motion in front of us with a motion from Councilman Hancock and a second from Councilwoman Schatz. If there's no further discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
No.
Nay.
So we have, Corey, I didn't hear you.
Aye.
Aye. So we have 3-2. Mayor votes with the 3, so we're 4-2. Motion passes. All of that's in my margin. Did we cover that sufficient?
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you. Item 20, deer control project, deer control program discussion. City Administrator's report, please.
Your Honor, just one quick item. I believe we have permitting process discussion.
Oh, excuse me. Thank you, Councilman Schatz, brought me up short. I jumped that because I wrote all over it, and just why. Item number 19 is a new construction permit process discussion. Would the Community Development Director's report, please?
Thank you, Your Honor. And I apologize at the onset, my title was maybe a little bit misleading. It's not so much a new process for permitting, rather a new permit application. So we'll move forward with that understanding. The old construction permit application had been used for at least 15 years without modification. Recently, the department has received several comments regarding the appearance and ease of use of the application. And upon review of the old application, it became clear updating it would not only benefit those applying for permits, but those processing the applications as well. Both the International Building Code and International Residential Code require construction permits. These codes also delineate what information is required at a minimum prior to issuing a permit. Additional information is also required on the application for reporting of construction activity to the United States Census Bureau. The Bureau gathers permitting application information on a monthly basis in order to compile their monthly economic index projections. Additional reporting is also required for the ISO National Building Code Assessment Report. This report greatly influences homeowners' insurance premiums for a particular area by evaluating a city's susceptibility during a natural hazard event. The better the ISO report score for a municipality, the lower insurance companies charge for premiums. Wyoming's average ISO score for commercial construction is 4, as is Riverton's. Wyoming's average IS score for residential construction is a 5, whereas Riverton is a 4, making Riverton's overall ISO score better than the average for the state of Wyoming. This is saving residents money. This is definitely the result of good work from the department staff members, and I would like to recognize that at this time. Finally, construction permitting is also an integral part of the county assessor's office. The department is required to report construction cost valuations to the assessor's office on a quarterly basis in order to maintain accurate property tax valuations within the city. Updating the application serves multiple purposes, with ease of use being the top priority. The application is now laid out in an easy-to-understand format and includes the information required for all of the reporting purposes. The second page of the application now includes checklists of what is required to approve the application, which should decrease the likelihood of any potential surprises when submitting the application. The checklists are there to assist those who may be new to the process or are not familiar with it. This is also the first step towards digitization of our permitting process, with the goal being for applicants to be able to move through the permitting process primarily online. We are also working towards producing an interactive process which responds to user input in real time, thus customizing the permit application as information is provided from the applicant. This way you don't have to wade through questions and answers that you may or may not have as part of your project. The goal with this is to gather only the information relevant to the applicant's particular project. The new permit application is available on the city's website via the building department webpage or from the I Want To tab on the homepage. With that, I'd answer any questions you may have.
Once again, my script has no, do we need a motion to accept this?
No, Your Honor, this is just part of the overall efforts that have been going on. We've been working towards making our processes more digital. This is something that Eric took upon himself to move the department along, and that's something we're consistently looking to do as we've discussed our ERP programs, our permitting processes. The more we can go to a more friendly environment where individuals can interact with us on different levels, I think the better we're going to serve the public, and this is a good step in that direction. So there's no need to accept it as much as it is if there are any items that council sees that can ever be improved. We always like that feedback.
Kyle.
Is there any fee increase on this, Eric?
This is solely a modification of the application form, no fee increase or decrease.
Thank you. Any other questions? Thank you.
Good.
Appreciate it.
Nice work.
Thank you.
Now, we're to 20. Deer control program discussion. City Administrator's report, please.
Thank you, Your Honor. At the previous council meeting, we had a presentation from Game and Fish regarding deer control program or urban deer control program. That was in regards to some of the consistent strikes that we tend to have within the community, especially on Main, kind of up by the college, has been a number of them. To be honest, we handled one this morning that also got killed over by the church. This is something that has been on our minds a little bit, and we appreciated the presentation. However, at this point now the conversation begins, is this something we want to do or move forward with? And as such, we did receive some information which is in your packet that which was provided by Game and Fish. They've been nothing but helpful, and they've provided us good examples from which to work. Essentially what they've laid out is a two-step process. You can go to step one, or you can move on to step two after step one. However, step one would be required in order to go to two. The step one would be the passage of one of the ordinances that you have in front of you. We would, of course, work through that ordinance, but that ordinance would essentially make the feeding of said animals illegal. That is the first requirement they have before a Chapter 56 permit could be issued. If council so chose to take a more aggressive stance on deer reduction, a 56 permit, which was discussed at the previous meeting, could be obtained or could be sought. There are a lot of things that would have to be worked through by staff in order to get us to that point. We would, of course, work with Game and Fish to determine numbers, areas, methods. It's not simple, nor is it a season, as some people have suggested that it might be. It's a controlled reduction using chosen individuals. However, if in fact we did end up going all the way down towards that end, that's anything that was harvested would be first tested and must be tested by the Game and Fish for chronic wasting disease, and then could be provided as donation. It could be processed and provided for donation. We would have to find a way to process that or pay for it to be processed or have it processed, but generally speaking, it can be provided for additional benefit. With that, we are seeking some guidance, maybe some discussion. I know there may be people here that wish to speak on the matter. So with that, I would stand for any questions you have or any more clarification. Otherwise, we would simply seek direction.
Any further discussion? We have some people in the audience that would like to possibly address us. Could we offer the open mic for them? Any of you that would like to talk to us? If you'd approach the mic and state your name, we'd appreciate it. Sing. Yeah.
My name is Steve Castro, and I live down on the Wellington Court. And the deer become a problem here. We need to address them. I was just looking on the internet. Approximately $500,000 each year is spent in just accidents that are happening and stuff in general communities. That's happening. The deer also carry some diseases that can be transmitted to humans through ticks and mosquitoes and stuff like that. So I think there's a problem there that need to be addressed. They come regularly through my house, and I have children. They like to play it. They are wild animals, and I think they need to stay in the wild.
Thank you. Anybody else?
My name is Phil Lau. I live out by the country club. I would recommend that you go to number 1 immediately, so therefore you can go to number 2, because the problems we have out in our area are horrific, and it's like driving through a minefield every night on Riverview going home in the fall and the winter. So I think we need to do something, and it sounds like step 1 is the first step. Thank you.
Thanks, Phil. Appreciate it.
My name is Mike Gard. I live across from the Willow Creek School on Monroe. It's difficult to garden with feeding the deer. I understand it's against the law to feed them, but I'm a felon. So I'm constantly feeding the deer. There were 20 deer in my yard 2 weeks ago. And if you walk through the yard, what they leave and deposit is substantial. And, I could get a dog. The city doesn't allow me to build a fence because I'm on a corner high enough to restrict the deer from getting in the yard. So I could put up 6-foot or 7-foot fences directly around the gardens. Doesn't stop the problem. They're constantly going through yards. We've used sensors, automatic waters, gone on the internet. You can't make them leave with soap in a cup. They get used to the scent stuff. They're constantly there. And, I know that some people like them, but they're a nuisance. And, it wasn't long ago that there were a dozen of them in the yard, and I drove up and looked at them and thought, they leave quickest if you startle them. So I walked around the house to startle them. And to be real frank, I was a little bit embarrassed. The traffic now on that road is sometimes 40 miles an hour. And I came around the corner, startled a deer. They jumped into the road and very nearly caused an accident. Cars coming down the road both directions, so I've stopped that. But there's very little that we can do to control them. And so I'm with Phil. I think you should go to step 1 and then immediately go to step 2 and try to move them out of the city.
Bethany Baldus, and I live on Davis Lane. I was going to comment on him. I do have a tall fence, and I did find deer droppings in my yard the other day, so fences don't necessarily keep them out when they're hungry. And to go on the point of down by Willow Creek, there was one day that I was coming down on Davis Lane, and I scared a deer out into the highway, and that was an even more scary situation because their cars are going so fast there, and you don't want to be the cause for somebody having a wreck. So,
thank you.
I'll be kind of mercenary on Bart Ringer. I live at 225 West Washington, pretty much into town. And I have been gardening for a good number of years. In the last 3 or 4 years, it's been pretty much a hopeless task. Anything that sticks out of a tomato cage is chewed off. The deer think they're my friends. I didn't do anything to nurture that, but I go out there and I try to get them to leave, and they look at me like, what? I go up and I shoo them away. I think in our area they're living up on the canal bank as opposed to coming up from down by the river. But they're all over the place, and they are quite a traffic hazard. You guys are well aware of that. I've been thinking evil thoughts about what to do with those deer. But in the same token, if I were to do that, then I'd have 3 hots and a cot at county expense, and I've got other things to do. But I'd like to see something done about it because, my vigilante instincts keep trying to kick in, and so far I've been able to suppress them. But thank you.
Thanks, Bart.
Rusty Birds, back again. So I too have been personally victimized by deer. And in our household, we actually live outside of city limits, so I don't get all the fun gardening tips. I try to play with the alkali where I can. But we've spent about $15,000 in insurance claims over the last 2 years just in front of the Maverick store. My fiance has hit 3 deer in front of Maverick up on the hill. So definitely a problem even for folks just traveling through Riverton. The first thing that comes to mind is people who aren't aware of the deer. If we have folks in town traveling, they don't know to watch on the hill before you hit CWC because that's a hot spot. So it's something I think is a huge concern, especially when you're hitting $15,000 in 2 years.
Thank you, Rusty. Anyone else? We appreciate that input. I don't know that we need we would appreciate a motion from the council if someone wants to make one.
Your Honor,
Yes.
I would move to direct staff to produce an ordinance prohibiting the feeding of big game animals within city limits.
Second.
I hope I'm not writing on the next thing we're supposed to be doing. We have a motion from Councilwoman Schatze to move forward on a deer feeding ordinance for the city of Riverton, seconded by Councilman Hancock. Any further discussion from the council?
Your Honor.
Yes.
I guess, it's interesting. We kind of started a little bit more on the side of the town towards the river, and they've been down there a little bit longer, but they've really been moving up, I would note. Near the Ringers property, that's a little bit further than they've come perhaps in the past. I've seen them up Major Avenue at the Justice Center. They love to come up there. We see them regularly out there. So they move quite a bit into town. I have them up near my house even, which is very residential, the cul-de-sacs over in the Big Wyoming subdivision. So I guess it'd be easy enough to write off and say, oh, well, they're just on that side of town. It's a risk that you're going to take by living there. But, they're getting in the highway, everything. So it's a pretty big deal. And it has been it's not just a new thing like this year. It's just gotten, I think, worse lately. Even when I was running for office and I was down in that area and visiting with people, I had a couple of different people that were complaining about deer in the area down there, which, of course, near the golf, the country club and everything. So I do think it's something we need to get moving on.
Can we open up on firecrackers?
We got firecrackers now. We could certainly try that.
Only on the 4th of July.
Twice a year.
It's a week.
Just on the
Only on the 4th.
Councilman Schatz corrects me, only on the 4th and the 1st of the year. So that probably isn't we do have a motion and we do have a second. Are those sufficient?
Yes, Your Honor. Just as a point of clarification, what we're intending to bring forward, the motion dealt with big game animals. We would probably copy Much of the verbiage from the other communities have already pre-developed it, and so we will have probably the same listing of animals. So that may need to be an additional conversation at the first reading. However, I wanted to, if it comes forward and it says animals that you don't consider to be necessarily big game, that might be a discussion. So I did want to draw that to your attention. But the motion as it stands now, and the second is more than adequate to get us going.
Okay.
I guess the other thing is there any reason why we couldn't add to that, just starting the process of the urban deer control program? I know we were specifically talking about the ordinance, but I would think from everything we're hearing from other people in the audience, from the council, I would think it would be appropriate to also start that process and not just do the ordinance, but do, like they were saying, rather than just doing step one, let's start on step 2 as well. I'd actually move to amend the motion to reflect that.
Would you accept that amendment?
Yes, Your Honor.
So now we have an amendment that reads that we would like to move forward on the resolution for not to feed deer in the city limits and not to feed any wild animals. Can we do that? Can you scope that?
Certain animals.
Yes, Your Honor, we will scope that the way, yes, we will scope that for you.
I guess what I would like to see scoped are dangerous wild animals like bobcats and mountain lions and the deer, and I don't think we should be worrying about people's cat or dog, so those should be eliminated. And but we could scope that fairly easily to animals that we feel like they're predators. I suppose raccoons do as much damage as anything else. So we could look at what verbiage you bring and get us started on that verbiage. So we're past that, who they are. Is that all right?
Yes, Your Honor.
Does that meet everybody's approval? Is your motion, that's good with you?
Yes, Your Honor.
Good with the second? So all in favor, we do have a motion to bring forth a resolution on control of wild game in the city of Riverton. In doing so, we'll leave that up to the staff to scope those animals. And all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Motion passes. We appreciate the input. Thank you. We're now down to reports and comments. Council reports, or council committee reports, and council members roundtable. Let's start off with Councilman Hancock. Is that all right?
Yes, Your Honor. We actually didn't have a solutions committee meeting. We did not end up, and I don't have anything to report.
Super. Appreciate that. Councilman Borders.
I'll echo that. We didn't have a solutions committee last week. Let's see, what else? I attended the Splash Pad Committee a couple weeks ago. I'm going to let Councilwoman Schatz fill everyone in on that.
Okay.
Of course, we did Finance Committee tonight. One other thing that I just wanted to tell everybody about is this really cool thing that we're going to be doing. It's part of the Christian Motorcyclists Association in partnership with the Patriot Guard. And they're both motorcycle groups. They're going to be doing a ride on Saturday, the 27th at 11 o'clock, meeting up at the Days Inn parking lot. And we're going to be riding down to a Vietnam veteran's house and giving him a plaque and just kind of celebrating him. And it's something that we want to start doing all the time. So hope everybody can make it out for that.
Very cool.
That's a great idea. Thanks for coming up with that. Councilman Rhoda.
Mr. Mayor, I don't have any committee reports, though I do want to mention I did have a chance to attend it was called Arapaho Truth. It was 4 short projects put together by the St. Stephen School. There was a claymation, which is a stop motion. There was one with a green screen, a puppet theater, and another where they used art. It was all created by K through 12 kids. It was a gentleman that came out of, I believe it was Pennsylvania, might be Philadelphia, and he helped to put it on, but it sounds like they're going to do it again next year. And essentially what they did is these school students took 4 of their stories from their culture and explained the importance of it, and then were able to put these stories and demonstration through the stop motion and through the puppet theater. It was a really neat event to attend to. I hope they do it again next year, and if anybody gets a chance, I would definitely encourage to go check it out. It is very, very neat. That is all I have right now, though, Mr. Mayor.
Hey, thank you. Appreciate it. Kyle?
Attended the solid waste district meeting yesterday, and the main concern there was the loss of funds on transfer stations. And reflecting on the current balance sheet that the solid waste district has $15 million, so I really wasn't too empathetic of their loss of $120,000 on trash on the transfer stations. So that was the primarily discussion. The second discussion Corey and I went through where we were asked for School District 25 to find some beautification projects for the city of Riverton. And somebody mentioned at that time there was a fountain project. And so on further exploration, I found a copy of and it looks like it's about a 40 by 70 feet of rock and waterfall. And so everybody that's come into my office for the last week, I've asked their opinion on the waterfall, and the man who I respect said, this looks like a city of about $500,000 project, and the rendition was a price of $220,000. And that's not it. No. I missed having well, I just didn't bring it because I think I can spend $220,000 more usefully. But that's all I have, Your Honor.
Thanks, Kyle. There is some money out there that is in certain elbows and corners, not 220,000 of it, but we would look at that a little further. I know there's some people that would like to see that come to fruition, so maybe we should spend some more time on that. Councilwoman Shaw?
Yes, Your Honor. Oh.
No.
Chamber, as they presented tonight, their intentions for the Alive at 5 this summer, which I think is a great thing, especially to get the chamber involved in the community and see people can see that the chamber is involved. At the last meeting, we also discussed the director, Jim Davis, leaving the chamber. So that's now being advertised, for that position is being advertised currently. So if you are interested, or you know somebody that is interested, it's coming up and it's being advertised, so take a look at that. PAWS, I went to my PAWS meeting tonight. They are a busy little bunch, constantly fundraising and seeking ways to fund the shelter and take care of our local animals. They saved the date for the annual Paws and Pearls. They will begin advertising that very shortly. That is September 7th, 2019 at St. Margaret's this year. Let's see, they are also working on another fundraiser called Claws for Paws. The date is not officially set, but look for June timeframe for that. And then they're also wanting me to remind the community that they are always looking for supplies for the animals, such as food and that type of thing. So you can have those items shipped directly to them if you want to purchase them online. They've also do different drives locally at Smith's and Walmart as well. So they are a hardworking group. So if you have any means to give, please do. The Community Engagement Committee that we approved last meeting is now seeking letters of interest to be turned into the mayor by May 1st. That's going to be a pretty awesome committee. So if you know anybody interested, or if you are interested, submit your letter to the mayor by May 1st. Our splash pad will be doing our grand opening on May 24th. That is the last day of school and is the Friday before Memorial Day weekend. The Chamber is assisting us, the Chamber of Commerce is assisting us in getting events going for that day. It'll be a really good time. We'll have live music. We'll have the splash pad, of course. We're looking at having bouncy houses for the children, as well as a few different food vendors, local food vendors coming to support the event as well. And we are still doing our kick and trash every Sunday. We've done it the past 3 or 4 Sundays. I don't remember now. We may take off this Sunday because it is Easter Sunday, but I will keep everybody posted. We post a Facebook event on that each week. But other than that, Mayor, I have nothing else.
Thank you. I apologize. I named everybody that was at that splash pad group except for Councilman Borders was there, weren't you also?
I was.
So as I went in, I was a little late and I thought maybe I'd have to throw somebody out, but we didn't.
We found you a chair.
That was a wonderful group. There's about 10 or so citizens that were in attendance, maybe a little bit more if you take away the council people. And I do appreciate the council at that meeting, and I didn't mean to miss Carla. She was there along with Councilwoman Schatza and Tony and Kyle were there and myself, and I appreciate the support that they've gotten. That project is going to be a real hit, and the chief spoke to that today in the media, and we appreciate his input to look after and take care of the splash pad, and we have every intention to do that. We need to go to the administrator's report before I talk all over him, so Tony, it's your turn.
Thank you, Your Honor. I'll be brief. Looking forward to this summer's WHAM convention, which is going to be June 12th, 13th, and 14th in Sheridan. We do need to decide who our voting delegate is going to be. Now, looking at the calendar, you do not need to decide that this evening. However, if anybody is interested in attending the event on the 12th, 13th, and 14th, that would probably be something we need to know in order to determine who the voting delegate is. As such, if you would take a look at your calendars and I guess you could just let me know if you're planning on attending that event in Sheridan. Staff, I will be in attendance for sure, but we can figure out who the voting delegate is at the first meeting in May. But we would kind of need to know that. That being, we need to have that into them by May 17th. So the first meeting in May will be fine.
Can I interrupt you on that?
Yes, sir.
Isn't Councilman Hancock our representative, so shouldn't we see if he can or cannot make it?
And Your Honor, I appreciate that, and of course, I'm only a representative if they actually read their emails.
Yeah.
Which Tony and Rich understand what I mean by this, because we go there and intended on being involved, and had told them that I was going to be the voting delegate, and they didn't get the email, didn't get the memo, I guess. I'm not going to be there, though. So I think, though, they would anticipate that we would assign an alternate or something like that. And I do think, actually, I think that they have, I think the voting delegate is for each meeting, and it's not just for, like, the year or anything like that. So I think it would actually be choosing a delegate for the summer WHAM convention.
My experience with that is we can just select a representative that is going and give them the voting delegate's position, but still keep Councilman Hancock in that position. Is that not correct?
If council would like to, yes, you may, but I believe Councilman Hancock is correct. Usually they ask for whoever the next one is, and sometimes the council says, we're just going to do it for the whole time, and we'll get an alternate if we want.
So in reality, any of the rest of us that would like to attend, we get our names to you, and you'll bring it back to us, correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you.
The other item that, just a reminder, and I won't get too far into it, the shoplifting meeting for Riverton is tomorrow evening here in council chambers. The first two that happened last month, first in Landers, second in Riverton were pretty well attended. There was some good discussion. The most recent one last week in Lander was very well done, and we had some additional discussion, some new faces. So we would invite the public to come and talk with us, and we have good representation there, and it's been good discussion. We hear good things, and it's always a nice way to provide information. So that'll be tomorrow evening at 6 o'clock.
In this chamber.
In this chamber. There's an airport board meeting on Friday this week, and I would remind the public that the North Federal meetings are every Thursday morning at 10 a.m. here in these chambers, and that's a nice opportunity for the people to ask questions of YDOT, the contractors, the city. So if somebody has a challenge or they want information, that's a great place to be. Your Honor, at this point, I have nothing else.
Thank you. I just got an alert. Tom, you're supposed to be watching out on your way home. There's 10 headed deer trying to get through your fence. Just dropped in. I really appreciate the Splash Pad Group. They were put together prior to me getting this position, and I think they've done a wonderful job. The mural is gorgeous. And out of the meeting that we attended, what they were doing was bringing all of those suggestions together. Rusty drew up some things, and the other artists in the room. Fortunately, we have some artists in the room, and they did a wonderful job. And then I was really surprised how well they merged the ideas together. And so I was terribly pleased with that, and I think they're doing a great job. And I appreciate the chief chiming in and saying we're going to take care of that. The shoplifting meeting that Tony referred to, we did go to Lander, and we had a wonderful meeting in Lander. Mayor Richardson was not able to attend. His son was ill. But the group we had were mostly all new people and from the first meeting. I'd like to thank Captain Romero for his attendance. Tony attended. The other thing that we had was Regine Struby, who is the city manager for Lander, got some stickers made that we prosecute shoplifting, and those are going to be available tomorrow night for anybody that wants those, if they would pick those up. And I even see an article in the Ranger that is in support of what we're doing. So I think that's really important to keep an eye on that. I think the citizenry can move items if we just get them to the right spot. We had another really impressive thing in my mind. I was tasked with the Force Committee to ask some of the smaller communities if they would donate to the airport. And Shoshone sent us $1,000, which is amazing to me. And I just wanted to make sure that the mayor and council heard publicly how thankful we are for their funds. But more importantly, we're extremely thrilled that they're in support of the airport, and we appreciate that. We've done some really good things on Gannett Drive, and we were able to get a motion approved to not only pay for that repair through the 1 cent, but also Kyle has moved that forward, and you've awarded that repair out to Dave's Asphalt. So that will commence within days.
Ongoing right now.
It's already underway. Thank you. Our guys do a wonderful job, especially when they're directed. And so that repair will take place, and that underground water, we don't have any place to put that in this system that we're doing. And that's why it was so important to get the Force Committee to move forward on their willingness to put that up in the spring. And so they made that motion, and it passed with the adoption of some right-of-way problems that we need to clear up. But we'll get that taken care of. Councilman Schatza, I keep missing your cleanup day, and I would like to be there. I'm working hard to get on the team, but so far I haven't made the cut. So
give it time.
We'll try again. Village Drive meeting we held last night, and we had 13 people in attendance, 13 homeowners. I'd like to thank Kyle for his efforts on it, and Terry from Apex for his help on those things. we did what the citizens of Riverton wanted, and we managed to get that done, and they were pleased to see it. And so I appreciate the efforts on all around, and we discussed that, and it all came up really positive. The other thing, once again, I'd like to comment on the council. I contacted every member of the council and spoke about the agenda. I appreciate the input, and I appreciate their feedback, and without that, makes it difficult to do my job. So thank you very much for your efforts. With all that said, I understand we have an executive session this evening. The chair would entertain a motion to convene into executive session for the purpose of litigation, considering litigation in which our governing body is or may be party in accordance with the Wyoming Statute 16-4-405A3.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion from Councilwoman Schatze and a second from Councilman Rhoda. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Motion passes. The chair would invite Tony and Kristen into the meeting. We'll convene, we'll be gone for a moment. We'll be back. Tony, no action needed from...
No, Your Honor.
Thank you. Reconvene into regular session. Chair would entertain a motion to reconvene into general session.
So moved.
Second.
Who's the second?
You can give it to Becky.
Schatze. She's closest to me.
She's got a heavier voice.
We have a motion to reconvene by Councilman Hancock, second by Councilwoman Schatze. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Chair would entertain a motion to, I'm in the wrong spot. I'll catch up.
Move we adjourn.
Good idea.
Second.
Second.
Motion to adjourn by Councilman Hancock and adjourn, or a second by Rhoda. Did you, Kyle?
It was Schatze.
Rhoda? Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Motion passes. We're adjourned at 9:28.